Hello, DV here, your humble GM and adventurer. Welcome back to another episode of Ironsworn with Child Dog the Lightbearer. This is the Playing God Apothecary playthrough of my first playthrough of Ironsworn. This is the first time I've ever played it in earnest. I've done a couple of little one-shots that I've done on the side, but this is my longest running campaign and my first campaign. So I've cleared out all of my potion effects, so that all of my potion effects have worn off at this point. And we learned last time, as a recap, from the Dark Mystic male that we have befriended directly before and after our trials, that Child Edda and Keone were in cahoots to bring our grandparents to trial because Child Edda believed Keone might have certain loyalties towards me as opposed towards the light, and so she wanted him to prove his loyalty to the children by showing that he will uphold the laws of the children regardless of his bonds with the villagers there. And so they're going to take them from Velmark to Axcrag for trial. I am currently to the north in the directly south of the hinterlands. So let's see if I can find my map here to show you. Okay, so I'm up here in the hinterlands where the Trial of the Light was in this peak here, and so we're gonna have to make a run for it back to Velmark to see if we can beat the children there. However, there's a bit of a twist that I had forgotten about when I made the last episode, but I was editing one of the episodes for posting, and I remembered that if you go back, I think it was episode 4 or 5, we were fighting another dark mystic, and he was doing a ritual and summoned a beast to go after our family, and we haven't been back to Velmark since then. We don't know if that beast ever made it to Velmark. So this is what I've decided in my head. There are 2 threats against my grandparents now currently. There is the threat of this beast, wherever it is, and whatever it is. I have an idea of what I want it to be. And then there is also the Children of the Light who are on their way to arrest them. Now, the question is, can we trust Mel? Is Mel a reliable source of information? Up until this point, we thought that he was giving us guidance to be more open-minded towards dark mystics because they're not all evil. And that made sense to me. That spoke to me not only as the character, but as an individual. You know, casting judgment on people just because of what they do on the outside. Sometimes things are a little deeper on the inside than you might realize. And that spoke to me as a player, and I thought, this guy's genuine. This guy has it figured out. But what if? And the failure we rolled was, it was all a distraction. What if the distraction was Mel spitting bullcrap this whole time, trying to turn us against the Children of the Light, who already we have, our own reasons for animosity towards the children? What if he's like trying to sway us to be not a child of the dark, but to be more lenient towards it? I don't know. Who can we trust? We don't know at this point. It's all soured me on trusting Mel. I'll tell you that. And I don't know if this whole trial thing is even going to happen. Maybe he's trying to distract me so that the beast that was summoned previously can get to my grandparents first. We just don't know. And so we need to find out by making a journey back to Velmark. And since this is a path that we've already taken, we're not going to use the undertake a journey roll. There's another roll that's not in this worksheet because I guess it hasn't been updated in a while, but it is in one of the books called Lodestar, which is an update. It's like a supplement to Ironsworn. And I found a move in there. It's called Follow a Path. And it's very similar to some of the moves in Starforged, which is like Ironsworn 2, but in space, right? Follow a Path allows you to basically do one move to resolve a journey if you've already taken that journey once before. And I've already taken this journey once before. And so rather than passing through a bunch of landmarks that would be randomized, right, in the journey, instead I can just do a follow the path. We do the entire journey in one roll, and it gives our travel uncertainty and risk still, but still gives the, it's kind of like a sped up journey, right? Because we don't have to play through all of that stuff. So it's kind of like a return leg of round trips is what it's used for. And so that's what I'm going to use. Now that I mentioned that, what we roll here on this journey from where we're at to Velmark, what we roll will determine what the truth is, okay? If I get a strong hit, nothing will have happened to my grandparents when we get there, right? And we'll have a chance to save them from whichever outcome manifests itself. We'll find out when we get there. If I roll a weak hit, we will get there as whatever is happening. Okay? This is what I've decided. We will use this face a complication at the destination. If we roll a miss, we will have gotten there too late. Okay? So that's the stakes at hand. That's the stakes at hand. We have to roll supply in order to make this roll. Our supply is not great right now. It's only a 3. We do have 8 momentum, which is good. So we can burn that if we need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll wits. I have to do a manual roll because that move is not in here. So let's do a manual roll. No, not wits. Supply. We're going to roll supply. All right, here we go. I don't get a bond. So no ads, no adsies. We get a 3 plus our action die versus our challenge die. Here we go. This is for all the marbles, for all of our grandparents' marbles. That sounded not good. That sounded not good. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. With our long arm, we get, when we undertake a journey, we get a +1 because it helps us travel. I am going to make a judicious decision that since undertake a journey and follow a path it's the same mechanic, basically. One is just kind of a shortcut. I'm going to add my +1 from my long arm to my momentum if we get a hit as well. So I don't get to add it for the roll, but if we get a hit, I'm also going to take +1 because I feel like if this was all updated, it would say undertake a journey or follow a path. To me, that makes sense. And so that's what we're going to do. Okay, enough exposition. Here we go. Our first roll of the day. We rolled a 9 versus a 10 and a 1. That's a weak hit. Okay, what does that mean? That means that we get there, but it's just in time to see whatever was going to happen happens. It says, on a weak hit, you complete the journey, but face a cost or complication. Choose one. And we decided we were going to choose, we face a complication or hazard at the destination. Envision what you find. What is the truth? What is the truth? Is it a beast of some sort? Or is it the children? Or is it both? Let's find out. So, we undertake the journey from the location of the trials back to Velmark. It's a long journey. Takes us several days to get there. The weather is cold and bitter, and we push through the foul weather and make our way. We did get a hit, so we're going to take that +1 momentum. And we arrive at Velmark, and what do we see? I'm going to roll on... We got a 6 on our action die and then a 01 on the Oracle. So let's just see what the Oracle says. Maybe they'll give us an idea about what is happening. So let's do an action and theme on this 6 table, which is this guy here. You can see a 6. Reap. Uh-oh. That don't sound good, does it? Reap. Monster. Oh my god. That couldn't have turned out. That was like... Why? How do the oracles work so perfectly with the story that you have in mind? Reap monster. That... It's amazing. I'm amazed by how this works. It's just awesome. I just love it. Okay. So we know that it is not the children. After all, Mel is he's a liar. Liar, 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 pants on fire. Mel, if I ever meet you again, by God, we will have words. We will have words. Oh my gosh, there's a monster. And I had an idea for a monster already. Let's take a look at the monsters here. And there are some horrors. I don't think it's horror. I wasn't wanting horrors. I wanted Ironlanders. I wanted a HUSK. A HUSK is a formidable foe. Okay? They inflict 3 harm whenever they attack. Okay? A HUSK is what remains of an Ironlander whose body, mind, and soul are hollowed out by dark magic. In their unquenchable thirst for power, they use their own essence to power foul rituals. Bit by bit, they give themselves to this ruinous path. They abandon their kin. They forsake their former lives. Their physical form wastes away. Their mind is shattered. In time, only the husk is left. They are a needful thing, tormented by the memory of all they have lost, but willing to lose even more in their quest for power. The husk may make tempting offers of rituals or rarities, but be wary. Their bargains are always in their own favor. When they turn against you, a husk is a cunning foe. They weave dreadful spells, summon swarms of lesser creatures, and unleash a savagery inflamed by their anguish. Okay, so this is going to be a difficult battle for us, for sure. And I already made a vow to have a formidable... My vow is formidable already. So we're not going to take any progress from our journey towards this vow. Well, yeah, we'll take 1 progress. I feel like that's reasonable. We've made it back to Velmark. That's 1 progress. I'm going to use this same track, this whole vow, to track my combat as well, because it makes sense to roll it all up into one track. So we make our way back to Velmark, and it's getting dusk as we arrive. It's getting dark. We've pushed ourselves through really difficult situations, and we've made it here finally to Velmark. And down the road, off the road into the edge of the woods, we can see the home of our grandparents, our home. And do we see the husk outside of the home? Let's ask the Oracle and find out. Do we see the... I'm going to say 50-50. Yes, we do see them. We see them standing outside the home. So I'm going to try to sneak up on them to secure an advantage and see if I can get closer to them without them noticing. So I'm going to sneak up using secure an advantage. So with a deception, stealth, or trickery, roll shadow. Okay. I'm not going to use my long arm bonus because that's only if we're using it to stun them, things like that. So I'm not going to use it in this case. I could mechanically, but it doesn't make sense, so I'm not going to use it. So we're going to try to secure an advantage. I rolled security. Oh my god, I rolled a miss. A 5 versus a 9 and a 7. Now I could use my momentum to burn that and make a weak hit out of this. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to take the miss. But first I'm going to learn from my failures here. Learn from my failures. Where are you? Learn from my failures. We're going to mark another progress on that. And what happens? You fail or your assumptions betray you. Pay the price or use the trouble oracle. Let's pay the price. Let's pay the price. What happens? Something of value is lost or destroyed. No! As we're trying to sneak up on this mystic, we see him begin to trace his hands in the air in some sort of dark ritual. And he's twisting his hands, and they are moving with such fervor and intent that you know that he's casting some sort of spell. And dark shadow begins to leak from his hands as he's moving them, and they leave trails of shadow as he moves them in these patterns. And Dog gives out a shout, "Stop!" But it's too late. He thrusts his hands out towards the home, and it erupts into flame. And Dog can hear his grandparents shouting from inside, confused about what's happening. They don't know what has just occurred to start this inferno in their home. And so now, what are we going to do? We're going to face danger. We're going to try to run in and try to save our grandparents. We're going to just run past old boy, the Husk, if we can. You know, depending on what we get on this roll, will determine whether or not he stops us. Okay, this is intense. We're going to go for it. We're going to face danger. I'm going to add a +1 for my bond because it's my grandparents. We have to do this. Roll. 11 versus a 5 and a 3. That's a strong hit. We succeed and we take 1 momentum. Dog rushes past this fiend as we run into the blazing inferno of the home, and the smoke is already beginning to fill the air, and we're choking, and we get down low to the ground to avoid the majority of the smoke. And we see our grandparents are trying to make their way towards one of the other exits in the back of the house, and we rush towards them, and we put our arms around them, and we say, "Let's get out of here," and we help usher them out of the home as it is wreathed in flame, and we exit the back entrance of the hut just as the interior collapses, the timbers falling in flames, and all of our life, everything that we owned, is consumed in the blaze. We are now outside of the home, and around the corner walks this thing, this husk. Let's go ahead and increase our track. Here, we saved our grandparents for now, but now we must face the danger that is this husk. I am woefully prepared for this. Woefully. I'm not in well health, not in good spirits. I don't have good supply. I don't have time to use a potion It's just going to be fisticuffs. Old-fashioned style. How are we going to do this? He's a formidable foe. I don't know. We may not succeed. That's just how it goes. What can we do with our... I don't think we can do anything with our alchemy. Long arm is really the only thing that we might be able to do something with. Okay. I could use it. Yep, nothing much there. What about Light Bearer? When you make a move to overcome or navigate darkness, you may add +2 and suffer -1 light. Oh! I forgot about my Light Bearer, yes! Lord of the Light, suffuse me with your energy now. Help me to strike down this creature of darkness. And I say those words, Dog says those words, as he clasps his staff, and light comes from his hands and suffuses his staff with a beaming energy of light. And we're going to add +2 to our enter the fray. And we're going to remove 1 light from our light path. All right, we're going to enter the fray. Here we go. We are entering the fray. We are facing off against our foe. We're going to roll heart. We get a +2 from our light. And what other benefit do we get? That's it, right? Yes, add +2. We're overcoming the darkness. We're going to roll plus heart. We're facing off against our foe. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's take him out. Oh my God, no! A 5 versus a 10 or a 7. Dog. Dog, why? We can't afford to take this combat on the back foot. We must burn our momentum and make this a weak hit. Okay, so that's going to put us back down to a weak hit. I can choose one. Prepare to act, take initiative, or take 2 momentum. I think I'm just going to take the initiative because I don't want to start the battle on our back foot. So we're going to burn our momentum. We're going to take the initiative. We are now in control of this combat. We get to take the first strike. But now we're down to 2 momentum. So that's not great. All right. We are going to continue. How long does this +2... Is it only just for that 1 turn? When you make a move to overcome or navigate darkness, you may add +2. Okay. I think I have to reuse that every time I want to suffuse my staff with light. So the light dims from my staff as we move forward to strike. And he steps back, laughing in a very hollow laugh. Ha 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 ha. Fool. You cannot defeat me with your mere weakling powers. Face the full power of the darkness. And he gets ready to cast a spell, and I'm going to try to strike first with edge. And I'm going to use my long arm ability, which gives me a +1, and I take +1 momentum on a hit. I am going to suffuse my staff with light one more time because I want this to be a good, nice, strong hit. That gives me a +3. So I'm using 1 more light. I'm suffusing my staff with light, and I'm using my skill as a long arm enthusiast. I'm going to roll. I get an 11, which we can't get more than a 10. A 10 versus a 6 or a 9. I inflict 1 harm. I gain initiative, or I retain initiative, and I get +1 momentum from my long arm. So that's great. All right, so I'm going to mark that success on the track. As he's saying his villain monologue, as they do, Dog doesn't even wait. Like, he just steps forward while he's speaking and smacks him right in the mouth with that staff. But a husk isn't human. A husk is otherworldly. It does, stagger him back a foot. Like, he has to take a step back. But he's not really harmed. Not really. And he growls in defiance. And now the battle is truly set. And we are going to try to retain our initiative and continue to strike. I'm not going to use our light again yet. Yes, I am. I'm going to continue to use up all my light. This is dire consequences. I'm going to suffuse the staff once again with light, and I'm going to roll. Ooh, good thing I did. A 9 versus a 7 or 10. Actually, yeah, it would have been bad. I would have been a complete mess if I had not done that. It's a weak hit. We inflict our harm, but we lose initiative, and I do get a +1 on my momentum, which is vital at this point. Okay, so we move forward and we strike him once again, but at the same time, he's able to reach out with his. He doesn't have a weapon, as a physical weapon. He's not using any kind of weapon. We strike his left elbow with our staff, but with his right arm, he thrusts it out in like a palm jab. He's got an open palm, and he just strikes us in the chest and knocks us backward. And now he has the initiative, and we are on the defensive, so we must clash. So he now has the initiative, and we're going to be fighting in close quarters. And I still get to use my staff. I'm still going to suffuse it with light as he attacks us. Let's see what happens. He moves forward with his attack. And we get a 10 versus a 9 and 8. That's a strong hit, yes! We inflict our harm, and we can choose one. You have now the initiative. We can either inflict harm, or we can gain 1 momentum. I gain 1 momentum anyway because I'm using my long arm. And I'm going to inflict harm due to the move. So that puts us up to the next level, about halfway through our progress rolls here. So he moves forward to strike us, but before he can, we sweep his legs with our staff, and once again, he stumbles, and he falls to the ground, and we now have the initiative. I turn to my grandparents, and I'm like, run! Run! So they start running towards the village of Velmark, and hopefully they can bring some help before it's too late. I'm going to use my last suffusion of light here. I guess I've got one more after this. I'm going to suffuse my staff with light one more time. We're going to strike, and while he is down, I'm going to see if I can punish him. I got an 8 versus a 9 and a 1. That's a weak hit. We do get a strike, but at the same time, he is able to sweep our legs from us on the ground. Whenever I reach down to hit him on the ground, he grabs the staff after it hits him in the chest, and then he uses that leverage to swing around with his legs and sweep our legs. So now we're both prone on the ground, and I take 1 momentum from that hit, and we're now on the defensive. And he is going to start casting a spell against us. And I think I am going to take off my bonuses. I'm going to try to face danger to remove ourselves from the path of this spell as he lashes out with his mystic energy. Dark flame wreathes from his hands towards us. Can we dodge it with edge? Let's see. We got an 8 versus a 10 and a 7. That's a weak hit. We succeed, but at a troublesome cost. Choose one. I can suffer 1 momentum. I can endure 1 harm. Or I can endure 1 stress. Or sacrifice resources. I'm going to sacrifice resources. I'm going to say that the flames scorch some of my equipment and makes it unusable, and we lose some of our vital supply, but we're largely unharmed, and we're still on the defensive. I'm going to try to scramble to my feet and use my staff to try to stun him with my long arm ability. So what do we get for that with long arm when we secured advantage? We get to add +1 and take 1 momentum on a hit. So I get to add +1. We're going to try to secure this advantage. If I can get a strong hit, it will give me back the initiative as well. Unfortunately, we get a 8 versus a 7 and an 8. That is a weak hit. My advantage is short-lived. take 1 momentum, and I get +1 momentum from long arm. That puts me up to an 8. But unfortunately, we do not have the initiative. So I'm able to give him another hit with the staff, but it doesn't do any harm. And he's still able to stand up. And we now have to clash against the foe. This is going to be bad. I get to add my +1 from my long arm. We're going to roll a 10 versus a 6 and a 2. Oh my god, I can't believe I got a strong hit. Oh my gosh, we have the initiative. We get +1 from our long arm. We inflict 1 harm to this beast. He is taking another wallop. He begins to cast a spell towards us, but before he can get the words out, we strike him 2, 3, 4 times with our staff, knocking him back once again. And we are now going to strike. I'm going to infuse my staff one last time with light. We are going to see if we can finish this combat with finesse. Here we go. We rolled an 8 versus a 2 and a 7. My staff is a blur of light as I swing it around. We're up to 10 momentum. We gain another harm on the enemy. He is up to 8, and he falls to the ground, actually harmed. You can see everywhere this beam of light that is now my staff. Everywhere it struck his body, it leaves like a seared mark on him as the light is beginning to do real damage. Now we have 80% of progress against our foe here. If we decided to try to roll to finish the fight, we would have a 49% chance of a strong hit, a 42% chance of a weak hit. That's not good enough. We're going to have to strike again. Unfortunately, we're down to +1 on our rolls. We have no more light left in us. We have used all of the light given to us by the Lord of the Light. We're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way with skill and perseverance. Here we go. We're rolling our strike. We're on the offensive. We roll a 6 versus a 5 and a 1. That's a strong hit. We retain the initiative. I can't take more momentum, so I won't take that, but I will have a 9 here. Oh my gosh, we are almost complete with this. What is the odds that we'll get a hit if we do it now? 64%. I feel like we probably should not try to make this any more than it already is. I think we should roll to end the fight. Let's do it. I'm going to roll to end the fight. He's in a bad way. I don't get to add my long arm on end the fight. I don't get to add anything. We're just going to roll. Strong with a positive twist. What? I love it. We rolled a 9 versus a double 7. The foe is no longer in the fight. We have defeated him. We hit him one last time with our staff, and he falls to the ground. And when he hits the ground, a shadow escapes from his mouth, and the light that is left in us infuses him and us in like a burst of light. And that last hit, a sunburst appears, knocks him to the ground, and the shadow dissipates from him, and all that is left is a crumbling, decaying body that just crumbles into dust. Soon, the villagers come running from Velmark, led by our grandparents, and they begin to hastily attempt to put out the fire. We are going to fulfill our vow. Even though we're using the same track, I don't care. We're going to do it. We rolled another 9 versus a 4 and a 2. That's a strong hit. It's a formidable vow. That's 3 progress. And we can now mark this as complete. Wow. That was crazy. We get 3 experience from that. We begin to face danger now to help put out this fire. We are all working together with strength and endurance. I'm going to roll iron. And oh my god, we got an 8 versus a 1 and a 1. It's a strong with a positive twist. I can't take any more momentum. We're able to put out the flames with only the roof of the hut is really the only thing that was severely damaged. We do lose some of our belongings inside, but it's not as bad as it could have been. We can save a lot of the materials that we have accumulated over our lifetimes, especially my grandparents since they're much older. All of these things that they've accrued over their life's work, basically, we're able to save. And we see Keone there with us as he helps to remove the flames, and he sees us, and he can tell. He saw the light as they could see the burst of light and he comes up and he embraces us in a hug. He says, "Brother, welcome, welcome." And I think that we are going to get to add progress to our bond with Keone there. All right. That's fantastic. We are worn out, both from our journey, from our trials, from this battle, from facing this fire. We're all sitting around. There's much work to do. But Keone leads all of us, all of the villagers of Velmark, to the shrine in the center of Velmark. He leads us there, and he says, "Brother, join me in our thanks to the Lord of the Light." And we both place our hands on this iron pillar, and I'm going to get a +1 on this since I'm in Velmark and with Keone. I could add +2. By God, I will add +2, as a matter of fact, due to having my bond with Keone and with Velmark. The villagers are all gathered around us, ready to bear witness as we reach out to the light once again. We're going to capture the essence of the light. As Keone touches this iron pillar, it begins to blaze with a light that is unnatural but holy. And we gaze upon that light as we place our hands on the iron pillar. It's glowing white hot, but it's not hot to the touch, but we feel the heat of the light on our faces and in our bodies. It gives us a sense of peace and overwhelming desire to do good. And we're going to roll wits and see if I can get my light back. I'm going to roll a manual roll of wits here and see what we get. +2. We got a weak hit. 6 versus 6 and a 2. I can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and burn my momentum. By God, I am. I burn my momentum to make that into a strong hit. So that gives us a strong hit. That gives us +6 light once again. And we have regained all of our strength. But that takes all of our momentum from us. And we basically collapse onto the ground, exhausted from everything that has happened. Keone and our grandparents come and help us up. And the discussion begins on helping to repair the damage to the hut. But first, we know that we must rest. And so we're going to sojourn, and during this sojourn, we're going to repair that hut. I'm not going to do moves to repair the hut. It'll be all part of this sojourn. And so we are going to do a sojourn move here. We're going to spend time seeking assistance. We're going to add our +1 from being in Velmark. And we are going to hopefully roll a good roll and recover some stuff. We rolled a 7 versus a 3 and a 7. That's a weak hit. All right. You and your allies may choose one from the categories in the move description. So I can either clear a shaken ability and take 1 spirit. I can recuperate, take 2 health for yourself and any companions, or take 2 spirit, or take 2 supply, or take 2 momentum. I think I'll do this consort, and I think I'll take 2 spirit. I want to raise my spirits first, and we can heal ourselves using herbalism and resupply later. But I think the most important thing is that we recover by consorting with our friends and family and boosting up our spirits. And so we do so, and during the course of a week, we rest together, we meal together, we work on the hut, repairing the flame damaged frame of the home and rethatching the roof, and we spend some time really helping one another, coming together as a community, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think from this point on, we are going to be able to start to really start building ourselves up as leadership in the children. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and take 1 progress there because I think they were very impressed with my powers of the light. And who knows, this beast, whoever he was, might have had ill intent toward Velmark after he finished with my grandparents. We don't know. All we know is I stopped it. I, Dog, the light bearer of Velmark. This has been Playing God Apothecary. I'm DV. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really, really enjoyed it. Loved it, in fact. Let's take a look before we finish this this session. Let's take a look at our light bearer. We could use 2 of our experience to commune with the Lord of the Light further. We may use our light to strike or clash against a dark dwelling foe. Uh-oh. Oh, I can roll light. Okay. I was going to say, did I use that incorrectly? No, I don't think so. I can use light instead of rolling edge or iron. And I can use light to actually attack. So, that would be cool. I might do that. Should I take that one, or should I take, when I perform the ritual, add +1 and take +1 momentum on our hit? That would give me more ability to recharge my light. I think I'll take that one first, because I'm already pretty powerful combat-wise. Let's do this one first. And then, yeah, I'll advance that one. And I'm going to spend 2 more here. I'm going to take the 3rd ability. There. And now I have 1 available XP. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. And I will see you guys next time.